What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show. Just staying on this whole electrical hatch. What's the official term again? Electrical?
It's called the EE bay,
Okay,
E/E. It's probably simpler to call it just the electronics bay.
Got it. So the way that you had laid it out was that, and I'll have you kind of explain the whole thing, but you know, this Russian who was 12 feet away from the bay could have gone in there and effectively could have, through certain measures, had the ability to take control of the cockpit and therefore the plane. In the documentary, you were telling me this off camera, in the documentary and also publicly, guys like Mike Exner were refuting that and saying there's no way this could have happened.
Right.
You're not saying it did happen. You're saying we need to look at the possibility, and you think it hasn't been proven to you that you couldn't do this definitively. Am I saying that correctly?
I think the question that search officials have to address is there any possible way that this data could have arisen from a different way? Is there a non-innocent way? And they've never even addressed it. And so I guess the drum I guess I've been beating is, okay, listen, I understand why you think it went south. I think it's important that the public understand why you think it went south. But I think it's also important to interrogate whether it's possible that there's another explanation. And essentially, I would say that I raised the possibility that the seabed search might fail at a time when no other person
was willing to do that,
was even could entertain the possibility. And I was kind of ridiculed at the time. But I thought, well, I'm going to get my satisfaction when they search the seabed and it's not there, because people will say, well, we didn't find it. What about that guy back in early 2015 who said that it might not be there? Surely they'll be knocking down my door.
Yeah.
Which that's not what happened, actually, because people were like, well, we're sure it's there. We just didn't find it. So that's another area that I was wrong about.
But as far as going down there, what would that take? You laid out some of this in the documentary, but guy goes down into the bay, what happens next?
Okay, so you have a particular model of plane where there's a hatch that you can pull back a carpet, pull the lever and go down, and now you have access to the computers that control the flight surfaces of the plane. And there's a kind of principle in cybersecurity that if you have possession of a machine, you can, in principle, get that machine to do anything that it's physically capable of. You have it, you own it, it's in your possession. You can do what you can make it dance to your tune. And
is there like a computer system down there with a keyboard, or is it all electrical like boxes?
There is a system called, I believe, PMAT, which is a keyboard that you plug in. It's not to take over the plane. It's so that usually ground personnel, maintenance people can get in and check the status of various things. You can upload software into it. Some of these things can only be done when the plane is on the ground with weight on wheels, it's called. So, could you spoof a weight on wheels signal? I don't know. I don't really know how any of this would work in detail. But what I'm saying is, if you imagine somebody who is incredibly sophisticated and they own your box, then I think you should have less than 100% confidence that they aren't going to make it do what they want. There's, I'm sure some of your viewers and listeners, are familiar with cryptocurrency. There's this idea that if you have the key to this Bitcoin amount, you should not store it online.
Not your keys, not your crypto. Yeah.
Right? Not your keys, not your crypto. And so if I have it stored on my phone and I hand it to you, and you're an Israeli cybersecurity firm, do I still own this Bitcoins? Maybe not.
Yeah.
So it's a principle in crypto security that if you want to really be certain, you write it down in paper, pen and ink on paper.
Yes.
And you put it in a safe, in a locked safe, and you don't tell it to your wife/girlfriend or anybody. So we're positing that this in this particular, uniquely this model of plane, you can go down and be physically present with this computer. I don't know how so people have definitely said this is impossible. well-known aviation writer named William Langevin wrote an article for The Atlantic in which he said that this is impossible for so many reasons that I can't get into it. I was like, just one, just give me one. So yeah, it's a completely unresolved issue. I can neither give you a specific mechanism by which it can be done, nor can anyone give me a specific reason why it can't be done. You're just having people making assertions.
Understood. So when you were looking at this and then taking it to the next level with Russia's involvement, your idea, to bring it full circle, was that because there was so much heat on Putin at the time due to the whole Crimea thing, everyone paying attention to that, that something like this would have provided an extremely welcome distraction for that story to kind of die off a little bit. Is that fair to say?
I would kind of, in response to that question, which is a question I got a lot. In fact, I would say it was the #1 question that everyone always asked anytime I started talking about Russian and spoofing,
right,
is that I'm trying to explain what might have happened to the plane. Like, what was like why Putin wanted to do it, or what he would have benefited from it, or whether it would have been a good decision or a bad decision. I'm just trying to say, is it physically possible? Should we entertain the possibility that this happened? I'm not trying, my job is not to make it seem like an attractive prospect that every right-minded citizen should go do as immediately as possible. What I'm saying is it conceivable that this could happen? Is it physically possible? And then, sure, let's match up. Does it match up with something that Vladimir Putin would do? Well, in 2014, there was a country that was known to destroy Malaysian Airlines 777s. This was Russia.
Yeah.
So I sometimes like to tell the analogy of, imagine you're a chicken farmer, right? And you have had a chicken farm for many years and you've never lost a single chicken. And then one day you wake up and there's a bloody, mangled chicken carcass on your front yard. Okay, and you don't have no idea who did it. Absolutely none whatsoever. And then 4 months later, you find a fox jumping over a fence with a chicken in its mouth. Right?
There you go.
Don't know who killed your first chicken. But somewhere on your list of suspects, there has to be a fox, right?
And it's not like you really have a list of suspects outside of that, because we're talking about one other plane that we know they shot down.
Right.
Now, as a little bit of a challenge point there, the context was different. I mean, it was obviously horrible what they did to it, and they never admitted to it, the one that they shot down over Ukraine.
Right.
But it was allegedly shot down in what was viewed as an ongoing, I guess, like small war between the two countries going on, and I guess they might have thought it was some sort of military jet and then shot it down. It was commercial, whereas the one that we're talking about is in a neutral area of the world away from there, not involving necessarily, outside of the three passengers, Russians and Ukrainians. It's all a bunch of other people.
There are many differences between the case. However, it is an uncanny coincidence that these two planes went down 4.5 months apart. They were both Malaysian Airlines 777s, of which there were only 16 in the world out of 20-some thousand commercial aircraft. Yes. And so
there's only 16 777s in the world?
Well, after MH17, there were 14, because 2 were destroyed in the span of these. So
I didn't know that.
It was an extremely unlikely event. And also, it was really quite striking to me that when MH17 was shot down, there was I'm going to say retired in quotation marks, GRU, Russian military intelligence officer named Igor Girkin, who said, "Oh, we shot down! Hey, hooray for us! We shot down a military plane belonging to those dastardly Ukrainians.
Whoops!
So hooray for us!" And then it was discovered, oh, it wasn't a Ukrainian military plane. It was a Malaysian civilian plane. So everyone's like, "Oh, look, they gave themselves away." Well, listen, Girkin is a Russian military intelligence, right? We talked about Putin himself is a spy. Right.
Yeah.
You're talking about
trade. Yeah.
You're talking about people who's wake up every morning. Again, they have their Wheaties and they commit mindfuckery. Right.
Yes.
That's what they do. And so you're going to take this guy's you're going to take his explanation like face value. this plane. So everyone thinks that
This guy right here on the screen?
that's the man.
Got it.
He's in jail right now, not in Netherlands, where he was convicted of mass murder for killing all the people aboard MH17, but in Russia because he criticized Vladimir Putin.
Ooh, that's a big no-no there.
It's tough. It's tough to be a hustler.
You were doing so well shooting down planes. Now you're going to prison.
So Russian military intelligence becomes a very interesting suspect. These are people who, the little green men, the use of intelligence for military purposes to try to achieve your goals. It's going to be a busy couple of years for the GRU. Because they're going to get up to all kinds of hijinks, which we can talk about. Some of them are very relevant to America.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.